There's a social media app called LinkedIn. And I'm on LinkedIn, but I don't use it very much. I'm not very good at it. It feels very worky. It's like the cubicle, worky office job of Facebook. Um, but got two things I want to say about LinkedIn. First thing I want to say is accolades, bravo, right on, good job, because they are using our friend Colleen Schneider in an ad campaign. So you'll see her all over Los Angeles on billboards and different media. So bravo. And if you don't know who Colleen Schneider is, well, she's one of the best kept secrets of women's MMA. She is one of the most well-rounded, complete fighters that we got going on, and she's going to be a rock star real soon. So I'm gonna put a link to her Instagram so you can follow her, so that you can be one of the cool kids that knew her back when. And I'm also gonna link to Matt Life Therapy, a podcast where she talks about Ducati, her cat that she found under a Ducati. See, Colleen is into fighting, cats, and motorcycles, the trifecta of the internet. So good job, LinkedIn, right on. And then the next thing I want to say to LinkedIn, fuck you, LinkedIn. I got a notification from LinkedIn saying there's something missing from your profile. And blah, 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 blah. You don't say anything. You don't have any functional training on your profile. There's a reason I don't have functional training on my profile. Functional training is not real. Let's speak science here. Let's be real. Functional training is marketing bullshit. All right, stay with me. I know I triggered some of you snowflakes out there. I triggered some of you that. But my college professor said functional's real. Hold on. Stay with me. Strength training is real because of metrics and proxies. Okay, so we can define strength. Strength is defined as your body's ability to produce force, and force has a formula. Mass times acceleration is force. See, science, physics, math, following me? Real. Power has metrics and proxies. So, power, if you are a sprinter or a cyclist, you will measure power in watts. Most of us, other people who don't have fancy labs, use a proxy, either the vertical jump or the standing long jump, for a proxy of your power to weight ratio. Now, power is an expression of strength, and the formula for power is force times distance divided by time. And force is strength, so mass times acceleration divided by distance, or times distance divided by time. See where I'm going with this? Metrics and proxies. They can be defined. What is your metric for function? No, I'll wait. Go ahead. Google it. I don't care. There isn't one. Because there's no metric for function, because the definition of function is different per individual, per perspective, per bias. There is not a standard definition for function. There is not a common, there is not a general, there is not a generally accepted, a generally acknowledged definition of function. Your definition of function completely depends upon who you're talking to, what the situation is, and where you are working. So things obviously can be functional or dysfunctional, but in athletics, There's no standard definition of function. In fitness, there's no standard. No, it's not real. It's marketing bullshit. There was a horrible void back in the old days, back in the 70s and the 80s, back when you were either bodybuilding or doing aerobics. That was it. You were either doing hypertrophy, joint damaging, weightlifting exercises, or you were doing high risk, bouncy, silly nonsense, Jane Fonda bullshit. So, out of that wasteland came the myth of gym strength. Oh, well, you have strength that's good in the gym, but it doesn't work in real life. It doesn't, they didn't have the transfer, right? We know that term, real definition, right? Well, that's not functional. So that's where it came from. And then it exploded exponentially with the popularity of CrossFit. Now, I am not hating on CrossFit. I think CrossFit is cool. I think CrossFit catches way too much shade, too much hate, too much shit. Nothing wrong with CrossFit. Nothing wrong with Pilates. Nothing wrong with yoga. Nothing wrong with basketball. Nothing wrong with football. Nothing wrong with curling or speed skating. But don't commingle them and confuse them, and don't say that speed skating is not functional, but CrossFit is. CrossFit is functional fit. Bullshit. No. Mm-mm. All exercise has risk. All exercise has benefit. It's our job to do risk-benefit analysis depending upon the individual's goals. Don't try and make one size fit all. Don't take something and say, this is good for everything. Okay? CrossFit is good for CrossFit and CrossFit competitions, and, if you'll forgive the expression, general fitness, right? So if you have somebody that is sedentary and they want to become more fit, and CrossFit is fun, and they have a competent person guiding them, or a competent team of instructors, awesome. But don't do CrossFit to make you a better athlete for a specific sport. It doesn't, no, And that's why it catches so much shade, because so many people try and do that. And there's also there's resentment from the power lifters. Hey, they're using our exercises and they're doing them wrong. And the Olympic lifters saying, well, hey, you didn't get famous. Well, yeah, you're cleaning jerks half naked. I know I sound like my fucking grandfather, but I don't understand why everything in CrossFit has to be scantily clad. But side note, sorry. I know, I'm old. What can I tell you? Back to the point. The fuck was my point? CrossFit's not that bad. Stop hating on CrossFit. Let it be what it is. Here, there's so much shit today. We are bombarded and overwhelmed with advertising and marketing, and my point is, more now than ever, you have to be more discerning than ever before. And people are they're having poor impulse control, they're having worse education, and bad mental hygiene habits. That's a nice way of saying that the masses are fucking stupid. So discernment is harder than ever, and the capacity to discern is lower than ever. Some red flags to look out for. If somebody claims to be a functional training expert, red flag. If their brand name functional patterns, functional movement, functional coordination. Red flag. Bullshit, 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 bullshit. What that means is they're probably dancing with weights, which means they don't have any real, they have pseudo education. They learn this shit from somebody else who fucking made it up, or they're making shit up on their own, but they don't have education in the real sciences. Biomechanics is the most important science, foundational science that you can have as a strength expert, and it is the most inaccurately taught, most misunderstood, and most misrepresented science in all of them. And people talk about biomechanics loosely, and they use term, and it's like, no, biomechanics is engineering and physics applied to, well, hey, it's actually human exercise mechanics, right? Because I don't give a fuck about the mechanics of a tree or a cat, except cats rule the internet, so maybe I do. All right. So, these people, these functional fitness experts, they're just dancing around with weights. And what we know is that that does not make you stronger, and it doesn't make you better at dancing, because it's simulation training. And that's a joke for some of you dancers and other people that seem to say simulation dancing. Okay. So, also, if you're listening to somebody, I was watching a video. I'm this dichotomous blend of a raging psychotic asshole and an egalitarian, kind, gentle soul. And so I fluctuate between the two, right? Which is why cage fighting was perfect for me. It was an outlet for my psychotic rage. But my tendency is to give people the benefit of the doubt. So I was watching one of our industry's biggest frauds, and I was like, all right, maybe he's not as big of a dick, big of a fucking asshole as I think he is. Maybe I'll let it slide. Maybe I'll give him a chance, okay? So I'm going to call him Sweet Bro, or Bro Sweet, because he is the ultimate bro science in our industry, in MMA. He weaseled his way in. He was a subpar fighter, and he used Mel Sif's Chinese menu of expertology. Some of you know what that is. You take big words and you lump them together, and it makes it sound like you know what you're talking about. And you use keywords like lean muscle and fat burning zone. And the irony is, he was talking about bro splits. Like, we would train these muscles, you know, the old bodybuilding bro split, where you would do biceps one day and then triceps the other day. You know, split the body apart, the bro split, where, you know, the compound functional lifts are the best way to build muscle. So when you label something functional, or when you say this exercise is more functional than that exercise, red flag, bro science, bullshit, okay? Listen. Now, if the person you're listening to gives you a perspective or a definition of what function is, and then explains that this exercise therefore is more functional because of the definition of function that it fits in, all right, fine, we can talk. For example, I will say I have a routine of functional flexibility. And what I mean by that is the routine, NeoROMex, that you do will increase your active range of motion while simultaneously improving your strength and joint stability, opposed to most other flexibility training, which actually destabilizes your joints and makes you 5% weaker and 3% less powerful and compromises your endurance. So there's an example of how to use function properly. The other thing about functional training is if somebody is claiming that they're doing functional training, you're insinuating that everyone else is not doing functional training or is doing dysfunctional training. So you're insulting everybody else. And the truth of the matter is, most of the functional training exercises is just compounding and reinforcing compensatory movements and exasperating existing dysfunction. So most of your functional training is actually dysfunctional. Some of the best corrective, best functional exercises are actually isometrics. Huh. Right? Start rewiring your brain. What is function? What function are we talking about? Well, if we're talking about the ability of the muscle to contract and create strength at a joint angle and increase joint stability and the joint function of flexion and extension, then an isometric contraction can be the most functional corrective exercise that you could do. But all the parameters have to be defined before you can use the word functional. And to just say something is generally functional is absolute bullshit. What is functional for Blake Troop is not functional for somebody who just had a stroke and doesn't have use of the right side of their body. All right? So let's keep it real, people. Let's be discerning. Let's think before we leap. If you are a professional fighter, if you are an amateur fighter, if you are thinking about a career in fighting, make your choices carefully, because your window is fucking small. And spending just a little bit of time with a fraud like Sweet Bro, that can blow your whole chance, your whole career. Because 5, 7, 10 years, that's it. Some of the lingo, the language, the warnings, the red flags, some of the things to listen for. You'll hear functional bros. You'll hear them say stuff like, well, what do we do as human beings? We push and we squat and we pull. As though bilateral movement, we also walk, right? What's that? That wasn't pushing. What? Huh? We as human beings can do whatever the fuck we choose and train to do. We're not locked into these gross movement patterns. Okay? So when you hear that type of lay speak trying to overgeneralize and simplify and say that a bilateral push is more functional than a contralateral swing, don't listen. Learn to speak science. Learn to decipher bullshit. Another red flag thing to watch out for, functional people who use the word core, the core, engage your core, use your core, as though the core is a thing. I saw a fucking chiropractor define whether an exercise was functional or not if it engaged the core. And my head fucking exploded and melted. Now, there are some great chiropractors. There are some phenomenal chiropractors, and then there is a whole slew of stack and crack quacks. I'm not bashing chiropractic. I'm not. There's some awesome chiropractors. I work with some phenomenal chiropractors. But this one particular chiropractor was giving a lecture, Yes. And his premise was that an exercise is functional if it engages the core. All right. So we already went off about bullshit, functional, bullshit, bullshit. Define what you mean by functional. But core. What is the core? Well, who are you talking to? Does it include the glutes? Does it not include the glutes? Who are you talking to? Does it include the rectus abdominis, the transverse abdominis, both internal and external obliques? What about the intercostals? What are you talking about? Most people would say that the latissimus dorsi is a shoulder extensor. Latissimus, the lat, is the big, giant muscle on your back. But it attaches all along your spine, from your thoracic all the way down to your sacrum. So it is also a spinal extensor. It's also an internal rotator. Is it a core muscle? So if I'm engaging my core, does that mean I'm also internally rotating and extending my shoulders? Kinesiology, anatomy, there are real sciences. Stop listening to the pseudo bullshit. And if you work in one of those marginal fields, personal training, Pilates, yoga, CrossFit, you're walking a line. Get on the science side. Make a decision to do it now. Learn anatomy, physiology, kinesiology. Learn the heart, biomechanics, joint structure and function. Learn this shit and stay on this side of it. And stay the fuck away from the bro science. It's more functional. Engage your core. It's more functional because you engage your core. Stay away from that shit.
Hey, guys, listen. We are making the world a better place. We're saving lives. Subscribe to my YouTube page. And if you're not on YouTube, if you're coming across this through another venue, Facebook, whatever, log in to YouTube and subscribe.